Good afternoon and welcome to the March 21st, 2022 Board of Works and Public Safety. All rise for pledge allegiance, led by Jim Barrett.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone. If you please turn your cell phone ringers off. We will begin with roll call.
Brian Daub.
Present.
Becky Gibson.
Present.
Diana Phillips.
Present.
Jim Barrett.
Everyone has the minutes from the March 7th, 2022 regular meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, so we want to know new business. We will have the bid opening for the Connersville Utilities Headworks project. Welcome up.
Yes, Friday, they haven't received any yet. Oh, really?
Okay. The first one is Dugan and Meyer. I'm assuming I pronounced that properly. And their bid is $21,643,000. They spelled that wrong or they said it wrong? Let me say it again. $21,644,000.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
$21,644,000. And this is it Thieneman or
Thieneman.
Thieneman?
Yes.
Their bid is $23,242,000. That's $23,242,000. Crazy cut. Here you go, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And you'll take those, review them, and get back with us in what
Yep.
time frame?
We should be back with you in a week or so. We'll get these to the financial advisors and to Indiana SRF. So keep the ball rolling here.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, approval to recommend City Council removal of handicap parking space at 334 West 12th. Any questions on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item C, approval of resolution 2022-11. We have a transfer landfill, and we can take resolution 2022-12, airport transfer. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item E, approval agreement with Butler, Fairman Seufert for inspection of the CCMG project. What we did on this was, we had I'll make sure I get this correct. We had a part-time inspection on the first job. A lot of times what we do is we had two projects going on. We're able to go back and forth. When the bids came in, I don't want to say we weren't comfortable with the contractor, but there were some issues with some past experience. I guess I can say it that way. So we felt like since we don't have a part-time, two jobs going on at the same time to share, we wanted to increase the inspections on it to make sure all the ADA ramps are good, all the asphalt's good. So we are asking to increase that. So we're looking to change I wouldn't say change, but we're approving the agreement with Butler, Fairman Seufert to increase that to the 40 hours per week inspection.
Am I reading this right to where the change is that hourly rate?
we're increasing at 18,900 to 48,000.
It was his hourly after the
Yeah,
40.
per hour.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Because at 10 weeks, at 40 hours a week, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah,
come up?
Look at it.
It is hourly, not to exceed.
$48,000 an hour?
No. That's the total
That's a total.
for the entire project.
Okay, that's just not the way it reads here.
Yeah, that total's not in there. I noticed that
Yeah, it
also.
says $18,900 to $48,000 per hour, and that's
Oh, it doesn't say per hour,
per
it says
or hourly.
Yeah,
Not to exceed.
it's kind of easy to misconstrue that if that's what it meant.
Yeah, that's the not to exceed number. We can clean this up for you if you want us to.
I think that'd be a good
That-
idea.
That's the total. So, it'd be 10 weeks, and then that's, like I said, if it doesn't cost that much, then you only pay for the hours that were on site.
Maybe if you, just hourly not to exceed $48,000.
Correct.
Might be,
I'd just take out the hourly.
Well, we can vote on it and they'll rewrite it and send us a copy to sign.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion, we go ahead and proceed, and then they're gonna make the change.
Sure.
with the stipulation.
Make it a little bit more.
With the stipulation of clarifying that, I'll second
Sure.
it.
So we have a motion
And a
Second.
and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
Up next, Brad, you want to come talk about this one? You dealt with it too. Approval agreement with Gavel Auction Service LLC. We talked, when we bring this up a while back, about having an auction for the city, so.
There's the signable copy. This is an auction that we're planning on having May the 28th. This is a contract that will provide the agreement. I think it's 15% for most things. Anything that is a rollable item, they charge 10%. There's a little bit of hourly fee in there to do setup, which from the way you described it doesn't. We take everything up there and they just arrange it, so that doesn't sound like to be too much.
Will they keep track of it individually, items? Like if you take 2 trucks up there, instead of having one ticket for both trucks, have a truck for each truck, ticket for each truck. That way, if one of those trucks is really yours and one of them is really Becky's, we know whose is whose. They need to be ticketed individually.
The guy seems like he's very thorough and everything. Maybe at some point I'll have him come meet with you and we can tell him what we need.
Okay.
He wants to get, if you approve this, he wants to get started advertising, so we'll have to be getting some pictures together for the major items pretty quick.
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Brad, might as well stay up here. Oh, I'm sorry, never mind. Hold on. I forgot. Adam, you want to come up real quick?
Hello, good afternoon. Adam with Stone Municipal Group. I just wanted to come, I understand that you've all received a packet of the Independence Consultants report we did for the trash piece. I'm happy to answer any questions with that. There'll be a presentation tonight at council specifically regarding this information as well. Other than that, as far as the status of tasks on our end, we've really been working quite a bit, just gearing up for the 2023 budget season on replacement plans. Mostly looking at vehicles right now. As you've probably seen in many headlines, vehicle procurement is very challenging. So we're working through that. And then later this afternoon, we're going to start looking at some facilities, planning needs and those types of things as well. This time of year is when we like to try to start getting a handle on larger ticket type improvements, so that it just gives us a little bit more time as we go into the budget process. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have initially on the trash recycling rate report. As far as a methodology, we looked at historicals and then used that as a basis for our projection, and then work with the departments to look at additional equipment needs and those types of things with future personnel to come up with it. So with that, I'll open it up. Any questions? Otherwise, that's all I have. Thank you.
Is that expected to be voted on by city council tonight?
Not tonight.
It has to be advertised.
Yeah, we're
Just
making
to-
a formal presentation and ask for permission to advertise for a public hearing.
Just to clarify on your estimates, revenue expenses, you do not have any of the increases in there, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
On down to department matters. Brad?
The one thing I wanted to speak to you about today, there's not anything shown on the agenda. I became aware at the end of last week, there's a lot happening rather quickly about all these ARP funds and different government funds that were put out there, but nobody really knew what they were going to be able to be used for. Well, they've been getting guidance on what's going to be allowed. And I found out that we've got till May 1st to get projects submitted. And I think I had mentioned to most of you that it looks very, very favorable. I'm not going to jinx us by saying it's a sure thing that we're going to get a $2 million grant or forgivable loan for our digester project. So that's a good thing. And especially with the project bidding about $3 million over our estimates. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about, there are hundreds of millions of dollars in funds that are going to be available for utility projects. If we want to be in line for any of those on water, we have to submit projects before May 1st. If we want to get extra points towards getting funded, we have to have them submitted by April 1st. Well, I found this out about March 17th, 15th, something like that. So we have to get in a big hurry. I've been working on this water master plan for about a year, and there are some projects that are I wouldn't even call them preliminary. There's cost estimates put with them, and I think we can submit those to be considered for funding. So what I'm asking you is for permission, if I can even get it to happen that quickly, is it okay if I submit some of those projects for consideration? It doesn't mean we're not gonna be bound to anything, but if we want to be considered for those millions of dollars in grants, then we have to get these in, and I wanna try to do that.
Would that take away from your Headworks project?
No, it's totally different. Set of funding.
And it's completely separate from the ARP funds the city got.
Yeah, the grant, we got really lucky to get this grant, and it was very unexpected because I thought we were too early. After we'd rushed around to get ready, they hadn't decided what to do with it, but they're gonna take some SWIFT funds that they have and go ahead and fund our project and a few others. This is totally separate from some of the other infrastructure money that's out there coming up. So I would like to take some of these projects that we've been working on designing that you will see in the master plan when it's finished, and go ahead and submit the real rough estimates of those to be considered for funding. And it doesn't bind us to do them or anything else.
You need a motion for that? Or-
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept Brad's
I'll second it.
request.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Move on down to department reports, Superintendent Good.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm glad I go first today because I have a lot to say. You guys are all fresh and nobody else has talked your ear off yet. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, last time I was here, we did department reports, and I talked a little bit about how parks are impacting economic development. And I shared with you, I shared it on our Facebook page, I don't know if you guys saw it, was the complete report from NRPA, which is the National Recreation and Parks Association. Every year they do a study on how parks are impacting local economies. And so that's the whole report there, but I wanted to pull this out for everybody at home that maybe didn't have a chance to click on that. And I just wanted to point out two things. So another thing that they do in order to track this trend is they do lots of surveys with citizens, and they see how people are engaging with their park systems. And that's how they determine, they put those dollar amounts to these things I keep talking about. So the ones that I think are the most interesting are the two at the bottom where it says 4 in 5 adults seek high quality parks and recreations when they choose a place to live. So every time we talk about quality of life and we talk about desirable amenities, that's what people are choosing when they choose a place to live. That's what's going to drive population growth, and it's what's going to drive economic development, because people lead to tax base, lead to dollars. And the second one is the 87% of people agree that parks and recreation are an important service provided by their government. So that is overwhelmingly the majority of people understand that parks are not a, disposable resource. They are a viable and vital part of the local government. And so when Adam goes to make these budgets with the department heads and the mayor, that I really want to keep that on the top of our minds and in our conversations. The other thing I want to say about that is last week I had the opportunity to attend the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, hosted by Dan Parker, and this group is working on their 5-year economic development strategy. There were 40 plus people there. Diana was there, Chad was there. We went around the room, we did the dots on the wall, the whole thing, and the number one thing that was listed as our community's strengths was parks. So it's not just out here in NRPA land, it's right here in Connersville too. People understand that the Parks Department is where it's at. So that's what I wanted to say about that part. And then on my regular monthly report, I wanted to kind of give you a big update on the pool. I sent in a bunch of pictures. This is what it looks like right now. Speaking of revenue generating resources, the gutters are out. The liner is completely out. Why that is gone is because Spear has come in to do their testing on the plumbing, and he just sent me he came in, actually I met him on Saturday morning, and he came in over the weekend. He sent me an update today and said everything checked out with the plumbing, so that was very good news. We don't seem to have any issues under the surface. The next step is for Natari, which is the company that's going to put the new liner in. They are going to have to come out and prep the gutter troughs and do testing on those troughs. But they need dry conditions, so this week is not looking good for those tests. So they're going to get back with me next week. If those tests check out, then we're ready to move ahead with the new liner. If they don't check out, then we're going to have to see what we do next. But that should be happening within the next couple of weeks. If those tests are okay, then we are still on track for them to put the liner in April with a 1-month timeline. So we should just eke in under the Memorial Day goal to open the pool. So along with that, I got that new bid for the valves a little bit late, so I sent it out anyway to see if we could go ahead and get it approved today. It's for $85,1530, and this would be to replace, there are 6 8-inch and 5 10-inch valves that we realized needed replaced after we had to take lots of things apart for Spear to come in and do their plumbing tests. I did ask, Fred Gibson has been my point person at Natari, and I kind of asked him, would you spend $8,500 on this? Do you think it's worth the money? And he said, absolutely. My line of thinking was, in 5 or 6 years, we're going to have to replace the sand again, which is a huge undertaking and it's really expensive. And he said that he doesn't see any other issues with our filter. So making these updates and, replacing these items is, he said, I don't know why you would replace it in 5 years unless you run into another unforeseen circumstance. So we've already replaced the turn wheels on the top. So I was hoping to get permission today to go ahead and spend that next $8,500 to replace those valves underneath the filter.
So you're saying if you do this, it could prevent having to change the sand in 5 years?
Well, no, the sand will have to get replaced. You have to do it every 8 years.
Okay.
But what this will do is they haven't ever been replaced since this was put in. I don't know what year that was, 2005, I think. It's just one of those things that needs to be done. It's like a maintenance.
Okay.
They're just rotted well, they're not rotted, but they're, what's the word? Corroding.
Deteriorating.
Yes.
I think what happens over a period of time with those type valves, the seals erode and then you start having a leak pipe.
I move to approve the valve replacement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
The next thing I wanted to let you know, we're starting to get lots of questions about when will the bathrooms be open. Our target date is April 1st, if you're asked. As well as Clio, we hope to have that open on April 1st. We will be cleaning it and sealing it first this year before we get the water turned on. So we're hoping to, again, do some better maintenance on our facilities and have them work better. Smalley's is open for anybody that hasn't been over there. The gates are open. I talked to the general contractor on the bridge this morning. He did receive our signed contract and he did receive his deposit. So we are on target to start his target date is September 15th to get started. He'll be out in the next couple of weeks to start showing me where the safety fences are going to go and that kind of thing. And he said that they were going to go ahead and start ordering materials. Lots of progress over at 2nd Street as well. The basketball court has been completely removed. And they have, last week also, we got a $15,000 grant from UEA to pay for the next stages of engineering. So I sent that on over to REA, there's so many acronyms. REA, the architect for 2nd Street, and they're going to go ahead and get those core samples and those things on their schedule, hopefully done before the end of March. So probably going to be April since it's already almost the end of March. But in other really exciting news, we had 450 kids sign up for spring soccer. It's unbelievable. I think the most we've ever had was like 380 or so. So I don't know where they all came from, but we have 450 kids coming out for soccer, which we realize is going to make the parking out there that much worse. And with Pavies building across the street, we're really, really hoping people aren't going to try to park on Veterans Memorial because... So what we are doing in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get gravel delivered actually next Monday. On the lot on the north side of the complex where there's a parking lot there now, we're adding on 4,500 square feet, which should take us from about 30 parking spaces to 120 parking spaces. So, and we've got all the material coming, and we are hoping people will we're going to put some signs up that say additional parking. So if you hear complaints about parking, I think it's mostly going to be because people want to park right there when they pull in. All you have to do is drive up, and there should be plenty of parking, especially with the age groups changing out. So that's really good news. I know that's a headache for everybody when soccer starts. In other sports, we do have t-ball, softball, and baseball open until April the 8th. And camp registration, summer camp is going to be opening the Tuesday after Memorial Day. I think that's May the 30th. And we are getting all the registration paperwork done, and we hope to have that available on April the 1st. One thing that's delaying us a little bit is we are going to be offering online payment this year. We have an app that the school system, or the aftercare group does it at the school system uses. And it's very, very inexpensive, and we're going to be able to allow people to pay through this app instead of online, or instead of with checks or cash. So we want to make sure we get all that set up before we send out we have all these papers available. So that is good news. The other good news with camp is I have 2 teachers that are going to be running camp this year. One is Scott Caldwell, he's a teacher out at the high school, and the other is Ben Mays, and he is an assistant out at Eastview. And then I also have Nathan Shaw, who's going to be assisting them as well. But very excited to have 2 teachers running camp. We're going to be putting some more information about those guys out on Facebook so parents can kind of get to know their directors a little bit. And then the last thing I have is just some dates for you guys. We have lots of stuff starting to happen. April the 7th is the park's Easter party. I know it's the same day as the chamber dinner. It's 5 to 8 at the park. We're going to have pictures with the Easter Bunny, free snacks. Everything is free. Crafts. We're hoping to have some type of petting zoo, so we're looking to make it a little bit different this year. We're going to have some really good prizes. And then on May the 7th is baseball opening day. We will be having the parade. We haven't set the exact time, but it will be in the afternoon. And following the games that day, we'll be having our first movie of the summer. We're going to be showing A League of Their Own down at Babe Ruth. And then we have 2 more movies scheduled for the summer. June 3rd is Trolls, and July 15th is A Dog's Journey. So we're going to be doing lots of activities around those movies, trying to get more families to come out and stay, kind of make it a bigger deal with less movies. So I know that was a lot, sorry, but I got you first, so I took advantage of it. Do you guys have any questions?
Catherine, I got 2 questions actually. What's on number 9? It says material submitted for review under River's Edge.
Yes.
I don't recall receiving anything. Do you?
Those big
We got them a while back.
packets, I mean, this was like maybe in December.
It's been in the
Okay.
past.
I can give you another one.
No, I was looking
It
online.
was a big thing, like
Okay.
this big.
Yeah.
Second is, do you have any updates? Can you share with anything going on with Longwood Bridge?
With what?
With Longwood Bridge?
Yes, that's the guy I talked to this morning, and he did receive our signed contract and our deposit, and he's scheduled to get started on September the 15th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Catherine.
you.
Thanks.
Chief Jones.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Everyone should have a copy of my monthly report for February. Start off with the overtime for February. We had a total of $4,790.15. $1,870 of that was FLSA overtime, which is the scheduled overtime. The remainder of that was manpower shortage. At the bottom of that page, you'll see our fuel usage for February, 774 gallons of fuel. Cost for that was $1,273.15. Any question on the first page? Second page, we have our incident count for February. We had a total of 139 incidents. 83% of those are EMS calls, 17% of those are fire related. And you'll see a summary of all the runs we had for February. Moving on after that, you'll see our training record for February. A list of all the different trainings that the guys did. We had a total of 36 instructed hours for February. And then the final page, you'll see that we got 9 inspections done for February. You'll start noticing some different names finally on these reports. If we start averaging anywhere between 10 and 15 inspections a month, we're gonna be doing really good for, year's total of inspections, so we're gonna finally start getting out. We're going into buildings, people are seeing fire inspectors for the first time. Some of these places are, ever, because they're newer buildings, but it's educational. We're trying to just educate them, let them know we're not there to penalize them or punish them, but we're there to make the building safe. So this first year is going to be a lot of just explaining why we're there and why the fire code exists, and we're just trying to make everything safe. So inspections are coming along real good. We did our committee did pick someone for the vacancy we have. We sent him up to public safety on Friday, and as soon as I hear back from them and PERF, I will bring him to a meeting, hopefully here next month sometime. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director of Culture and Bottom, whoever's coming up first.
Hello.
Good, Mike.
February report, start revenue disbursements. The revenue's pretty good. Notice on the wastewater disbursements a little high. We had to pay for the engineering for the Headworks project, part of it in February. So that was $600,000. Overtime was $5,299, and $1,000 that was scheduled overtime. We have our work orders, some of the jobs they've done, a couple projects that we did in February. Well 5 has been videoed and cleaned and passed, and now is online. It cost us about $18,000. Another project is Woodside Water Tower. The last page has some photos of the project, but we need to get that inspected. We've had it videotaped, but there's right now no way to drain it without everybody in that area would be without water. So we have to, what we are doing is adding a drain. We're completed. So that's just part of it. First photograph, we 90 a pipe out into the woods, put a hydrant in, and that's where we would drain the tower now. We have it set up where the people on top of the hill will still have water while we are cleaning it and getting it inspected. So that will be done this summer, the second phase of that. But most of the project was done by our own guys. We had to hire someone to dig because it was quite deep. I think it was like 20 foot deep in some areas, but it went pretty well, and it does work. We tried it out, all the valves shut, water goes the right direction and all that. The other project we did was 5th Street drainage project. 5th Street, we think there were some springs that was going down the hill, which was dangerous in the wintertime, great ice. So we added, I think, 3 catch basins, and looks like it dried it up pretty well, and that should be paved here in the next couple of weeks. I think the gravel settled good enough, and we'll get that paved and cleaned up. And other than that, Aaron Johnson and myself attended a 2-day stormwater conference at Purdue in February. Any questions?
I have a question on your tanks. You have a maintenance schedule where you drain those and repaint them?
Yes. Yeah, Woodside is this year.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know that the compost site is back open. We're gonna be open every day except Sunday through, I don't know, for a while, till it starts dropping off, and then we'll go back to our regular Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday hours. On April the 6th, we'll start to pick up yard waste again, and you call 825-1421 and wait for the prompt, and then leave your address. You don't have to talk to anybody unless you want to. If you tell them to call you back, they will. But keep in mind that you can bring bundles of sticks. You have to have them in bundles no longer than 4 feet, nothing bigger than 4 inches. in diameter and not weighing any more than 25 pounds. You can bring leaves or any kind of yard-related material down to the transfer, and we'll pick that stuff up for you. Other than that, you can see by the monthly report, we've been, in February, we were basically getting ready for this, starting to get some things ready, getting mowers. The Parks Department will know, we've spent the last couple of weeks trying to get their mowers ready and just try to have everything going for grass cutting season. So we also spent a good bit of time inventorying our equipment. We have a major amount of old equipment that's been sitting in the street department for a lot of years, and we're hoping to use this auction as a good way to move some of that stuff on to somebody else.
One thing with the transfer station, on March 29th, it will be closed to all traffic other than our trash trucks. We have to get the scales calibrated, and that was the day that they called and said they could do it. So March 29th, we will close it other than our own trash trucks. And we'll put something on Facebook as well so everyone understands. But they got to calibrate the scales and we can't use them.
And I'll be talking about it more next month or so, but we have a shred day coming up in May. Need to check with them and make sure that that's all on schedule as it's supposed to be before I announce it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Bolos.
Good afternoon. Everybody's got a copy. All reports, we had 852 last month. Injury with accidents, we had two non-injury accidents, we had 40 of those. Arrests made, we had 87 custody arrests. Paraphernalia, 24. And drug-related arrest was 13. We used 2,030 gallons of gas last month. Does anybody have any questions on any numbers on our report? Also, I'm reporting that we finally got our body cams. They just happened to show up Friday. And so now the process is they have to schedule in their time to send instructors down here to get us instructed. And I don't know when that's gonna be. They don't know either. So hopefully in a month we can get those going. However, we finalized our SOPs, which I'll hand out to each one of you. And it'll be presented in the next meeting. As far as our police cars go, we went ahead and went with John Jones, and they're in process of equipping those vehicles now. And they said approximately a month or so before they get done with that. So our, as everybody, Jackie Pennington left, and our new secretary, this is her first full week on her own. So she's doing great. Our two new officers, their perf came back last week. So they were sworn in last week, and they're in the process of doing their 40-hour pre-basic, which will give them arrest powers until they go to the academy. And September's academy hasn't opened up yet either. So we keep an eye on that every day to get them entered in the police academy for September, whenever that does open up. Also, at this time last week, I interviewed for Officer Coon's replacement. The next process will be within this, at least by the weekend, hopefully. We're gonna do our written and our PT. We had probably 10 or 11 applicants that we interviewed last week. So some quality guys in this group.
Good.
So, any questions?
No, just a comment. I am really happy that you received the body cam. That's gonna be
Yep,
great.
yeah, it's a great tool. I'm for it also, just it took about 6 months to get in, but no warning every time we called. In fact, we even called a couple weeks ago and they said no time frame. So it was supposed to be middle of February we got them. Obviously it's not there, but yeah, now we're just waiting for an instructor to come free to come down and instruct us on how it works, so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Pause.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
For the month of February, we had 11 hours, 8 minutes of meeting production and 16 hours, 51 minutes of original production. Of course, most of that was basketballs. We wrapped up the end of the season. And if everybody has a report, do you have any questions? All right.
Thank
That was
you.
quick.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Chief Harden.
You see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm the last one. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Should have a copy of my packet. Completed 270 calls for service. Puts us at 627 for the year. Get 3,434 and change in 3,467 in miles. Still have one medic off from injuries from motor vehicle accident. And we've got one open medic position now. Been advertising for that. Haven't got any hits. I'm not real optimistic at this point because of our past problem with hiring, which is not just us, it's everyone. Kind of been giving you updates on House Bill 1112. It was signed by the governor on the 15th. So that is good news. Bad news is it was an immediate, now they've pushed it off till July 1st of 23 is when it will take effect. So we got a little over a year before we'll see any benefit from that bill. We got our flagpole up the very end of February. That's kind of been an ongoing thing with the backlogs of getting orders and then the weather, and they had the hole, and then at one point they called me and they're like, hey, we're supposed to get this, massive amount of snow. Can you go cover the hole so that it doesn't fill up with snow and ice? And so once we finally got some decent weather and got a break there, they got that installed. I think it looks really good. If you're up by there, take a drive. I'll come back to the last thing there. We did execute, we have a fully implemented one-call agreement now with for air medical. Doesn't really change anything for us specifically. It's more for dispatch. The dispatch makes one phone call to the one-call center, and then they run the list and find us a helicopter. So it takes it off of dispatch. So dispatch isn't on the phone with 4 or 5 different companies trying to find out who can come and who can get there the quickest, while they're answering our radio traffic and the police radio traffic and the fire radio traffic. It's a lot. So this is going to take a lot of work off dispatch. It runs it down to the closest 12 helicopters. So when you get down to 12 in the southern part of the county, number 12 could come out of Kentucky. So, but they take care of all that for us. There's no fee or anything like that. They just get right of first call, which they're still the closest, so it's not a problem. We did have this is kind of a March thing, but it's kind of been an ongoing thing. We did have a DEA inspection last week. Went pretty well. There was one issue with some more or less a policy between us and Reed that we're having to work out. They haven't dealt with what we do, what we call a medication exchange before. So I've done some meetings with Reed, with their pharmacy, with our medical director from Reed, trying to get all those kinks worked out. I'm not sure. Reed pharmacies seem to think, it might take a month or two to get all of this through the proper channels and through the higher ups, not just the DEA inspectors, but the higher ups. But we are moving forward with it. And the last thing I have is gearing up for the Fair and Festival season. We already have several events on our schedule, on our calendar, kind of for everyone at home. Or if you have something, I like at least 30 days notice, so that we can schedule that, have that on the books. We can't stretch ourselves too thin. So if someone has something and they're wanting a truck or they're wanting a presentation or something like that, kind of asking for 30 days notice so that we can get that scheduled and make sure we have the resources to pull that off. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let's move on down to old business. Any old business? Miscellaneous business. I got a couple things here. In your packet, you received the planting guide. It's a planting guide and urban forestry program. That is something we are looking to implement here, in between the right-of-ways and the sidewalks and the curbs. That way, it's pretty extensive, as you can tell. It lists by species, by height, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what is an invasive species, because there are a lot of plants that you can go to a nursery and buy that are invasive and they should not be in the state of Indiana. So this spells out literally everything. If we miss something, which is pretty detailed, I don't know the answer to that, but the way this is going to work is the city council will approve the ordinance requiring a permit for trees and shrubs and maintenance standards in the right-of-ways, and how they're supposed to be maintained, planted, pruned, everything. And then you guys, the Board of Works, will approve the planting guide as a document that everyone is to follow. That's going to be quite the extensive implementation piece as well, because now I've got to come up with a lot of different permits and forms, and right now I have the ordinance enforcer who's going to be doing it. I will be working with him. I have a background, I was a certified arborist, so I will have the background to help out with that. So there's going to be, I wouldn't say an enforcement side, but there is an enforcement side. It's going to be challenging, but it's something we can do moving forward. Once I give him some training, he'll be able to take off and run with that. Ultimately, the position that this would fall underneath, which would be even better, which we're not there yet, is the city engineer position, which I'll be talking about a lot, trying to get that position put in place. But this will be something that they can do pretty easily as well. But this is just step one. I gave it to you to read, to pick apart. And if you have questions, just to come back and we can work through it. But there's a very extensive guide. It explains everything from proper planting methods to pruning methods. There's also the ANSI Z133 pruning standards in there. Yes, that will eliminate tree topping. So just know that tree topping is the worst thing you can do for a tree. It's a death sentence for a tree. And there are proper pruning standards that you can implement to make sure our street trees are pruned properly so they have a longer, safer life. So that's the reason I'm doing that. It's not to punish anybody, it's not to do anything, but everyone says, well, there's no other way to do it on top of a tree. Yes, there is. There's a lot of ways to prune a tree properly so you're not topping it. I understand a lot of this is new and some of this has not been taught before. So if you have any questions, just feel free to sit down. I can explain everything and go walk through it from front to back. So that is a very detailed list of how it's going forward. It looks very, very complicated. It's really not. So if we can make it simplified so people understand it. And when someone picks up that document, like, oh my goodness, this is a thick document just for maintaining trees. Well, it lists what you can plant, what you can't plant, what's invasive, all the way from trees, shrubs, to grasses, to ornaments. So there's a lot there. You know, our zones, what's good to plant in our zone, where you get plants. So it's a very educational guide as well. So if you have any questions, just review that, sit down with me, then, and once we get city council to do the ordinance, then you guys can approve that, or a version of that, whatever you want to do, and then we can start implementing that. It is going to be a very tough implementation thing. I do know that. So, again, the transfer station will be closed March 29th for the scales. On the 31st at 7 p.m., John's going to do the State of the City video. So we're not doing a live recording like we did the first year. We're just going to do it like we did last year. But we'll have the State of the City broadcast on the 31st at 7 p.m. I do have one thing. I got a call today from the Democratic headquarters. Jim, you were on the. Were you there when they gave them the money for? Who gave them the money for the roof? UEA. UEA. Sorry. So they are going to request that they can close the sidewalk to get scaffolding up at the top on March 28th for approximately 2 weeks. But I told them they had to have permission from the Board of Works to be able to do that. So. That's a good thing because they've got some brick issues up on that roof.
Big time.
They sure do.
Big time.
It's badly needed.
Yes, so they're going to set scaffolding up. And they just need permission to close the sidewalk down.
You said from the 28th for 2 weeks?
Around 2
Approximately
weeks, yeah.
Great.
Where was that at again?
The Democratic
Democratic
headquarters.
headquarters.
It's actually the Democrat headquarters and the building beside it.
Yeah,
They're both together.
Both
the
together.
two occupants of that building.
If by chance, is there a way that they could remove that piece of tin that's on top of the Democratic headquarters? Wind's gonna catch that one day, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, but wind's gonna catch that piece of tin and it's gonna fly off and decapitate somebody.
I don't know the
think
scope
that's
of work they
part
got.
of what they're working on.
Okay, because I think that really needs to be addressed, because that's a major safety concern of mine.
Yes, but they're just asking for permission to close the house and they get up there and work on it.
They're gonna have to close the sidewalk to move that piece of tin anyway.
Right, they're gonna be up there anyway.
Yeah, don't quote us completely on this, but we're pretty sure that the roof is included in that.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll take care of that at the same time. But
It's the brickwork.
there's so much
We're
deterioration.
thinking it's the roof too, because it's about a $30,000
Yeah,
That's what they got.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's mainly, the danger are the stones and rocks on
Stones falling.
both sides. That falls off, it could hurt someone too. So,
Sure could.
yeah, we were glad to be able to help with that, because that's been
Big help.
done for a long time.
So do I have a motion to approve closing the sidewalks while they work on the roof, starting
I'll
on
make
March
that
28th?
motion.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Move on, anybody else have any miscellaneous before we move on?
I do on miscellaneous, after
Okay.
looking at some of the overtime expenditures, I mean, I know we have contractual obligations, we've got everything else, but I think there needs to be a committee or something for them to look at how we're either gonna hire somebody or how we're gonna be able to change something, because overtime is gonna be killing us. We're at $21,000 in 2 departments in overtime in 30 days. We can't, in my opinion, we keep going with overtime costs like that, and it's gonna really affect budgets.
We are actively doing that as we speak. You can come in on it if you want. But a lot of it has just been loss of people retiring out. We don't have the qualified people. The police, we can't get them in a police academy. There's not an easy answer to any of that.
Even if it's farming it out, something, I mean, we can't. I don't know how we can keep on going with paying overtime costs the way we're going. We've talked about overtime now for at least 2 years,
Yep.
and it just keeps on going up. So I don't know how you've progressed on it and everything else, but I mean, I'm not seeing any changes.
Well, yeah,
so I
we're
thought
meeting.
that
Some of the changes are almost impossible, like Clint's overtime. It's almost uncontrollable because we can't get medics. And those guys, they're working nonstop to fill shifts, so that's required by law on how many people are in an ambulance and what type of certifications they have. So a lot of that's, I mean, how many medics short are we still, Clint, in the state, over 1,000?
In that neighborhood, yeah.
So it's not just us having that problem. Every department's having the same problem.
maybe bringing somebody that can actually think outside the box a little bit other than the people in the city, you know, I'm just, because we're gonna burn our people out, and they're gonna leave, and Reed's hiring as fast as they could get them. And we're gonna we could end up losing EMSs and technicians and stuff like that. We've had more city police probably retire in the last 2 years than I can ever remember. We've had 7 now in the last 2 years.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to do something. Just food for thought, but
You know, we strategize over that a lot.
strategizing and planning might be a couple different things, but bringing somebody from outside
The whole state's having the problem. It's not just us. I mean, we are meeting with other people. We met with a group last week over, we went clear up northern Indiana trying to figure out some issues. So there is a ton, and everyone's having the same problem, and no one has an answer. We are even trying to build some partnerships with some training models, because that is the big issue, is training. Where you got 2 places in Indiana to become a paramedic, right?
Well, you have to be an accredited institution.
Correct.
There's 18 accredited institutions in the state of Indiana, but not all of them are active. So I've been actually going back and forth. I've got an email thread going now with the head of EMS in the state of Indiana under the Department of Homeland Security, and I've addressed some of these. And we've kind of exchanged back and forth ideas and so forth and so on as far as the paramedic side. And they have a committee working on it. But I said, I think here's what we need to leverage to do this. So it is a problem. And it's not just Indiana, it's nationwide for EMS, but I think also you see as far as all jobs, I mean, how often are you seeing places hiring now? It's everybody's hiring, and then everybody's competing with everyone else. So I think that we have, at least for us, and I know the city's a lot larger than just EMS, but as the EMT students come and start riding with us, because they have to do so many ride time hours, I tell my people, hey, if you like them, if you think they'll fit in, if you think they would be a good addition, let me know, and I hand them an application before I leave. So, and I did that last week. I said, here you go, when you get done, get this back to me. So, and I think I put it in the packet, I don't recall exactly, but I do have 2 people who have applied to medic school from within our group that are actually full-time employees right now, and I have another one who's a possibility, who's part-time. I told them, if you want to go, we'll make it happen. So, because that's the only way it's going to get fixed, is to help with the education, get the education closer. It's cost prohibitive for an individual because it's hospital-based, at least for ours. Not very many people can write a $10,000 check to go to paramedic school. And you can't finance it, you can't do student loans because it's through hospitals, not through colleges, so financial aid doesn't apply. So there's a lot of caveats there, and I've put those with the state, kind of going back and forth on the ideas. And yeah, there's a lot bigger minds than mine working on that. So as far as the EMS side, so.
Not just with the EMS, but I think I've been pushing state legislators to come up with a different model too, because they're the ones who could really help us.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting any, I should say, any takers on that, but it's a long process. And I'm on the phone with them constantly trying to find solutions for the police academy, for those guys, for fire. There's just a lot. And they're hindering us. The truth is they're hindering us.
I mean, right down to your street department and, trying to get a CDL.
That helps because I would take one started now.
Well, that's true, but I mean, that's a.
But they also increase the cost, so it's very expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to say in defense of department heads, when you're a chief and you get somebody come in, which is their right, to notify you this morning that they're going to retire effective the next day, I don't know how you eliminate that. So, we're always going to be dealing with overtime, and you can't get away from it. And it's same thing with fire, same thing with EMS, because you have to have so many people to man these fire stations, to man the shifts in the police department, and to man the EMS. And I agree with what you're saying, is to try to do something about overtime, but I think it's always going to be there.
We've ran cost on a hard cost to see, because of the overtime, so we're running, you run the number of people you can have. And then when one person gets injured, gets sick leave or whatever, they're out, that causes overtime, which you've had a lot of that. Right. Then I've looked at the cost of hiring an individual. By the time you pay them, by the time you run all the benefits, it's cheaper to pay the overtime. I hate to say it that way, but I haven't found one case where it's been higher than that yet. Now, I don't want to burn our people out, which is my problem, the question I have. But then we have to fund another person to increase that budget to alleviate that. Yeah, we are looking to do that, but that's also when our budget stays flat for 3 years and the costs are going through the roof. That's difficult to do. So, yeah, we are aggressively working. I'm pushing state legislator buttons. I'm talking to other departments all over the state. We're doing everything we can. So, other department is trying to figure it out. So it is a problem. We are not the only one having that problem. And that guy right there is going to be my big key to helping solve a lot of this. You ask for an expert, he's sitting right there. That's who's going to help us through this process. And that comes to our budgeting cycle, which we're just now starting. So that is a lot there. When I say we are behind the scenes working on it, we are working on it on a whole level that I haven't really just talked about, but that's what we're doing to solve this problem. So there's a lot. Any other miscellaneous business? Claims, Rosemary?
Claims, the city is $129,910.62. Payroll is $449,174. Utilities, $365,991.70.
Have a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public forum, anyone from the public have anything to say? About their class? Nope. If not, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.